synced up.
We're all good.
They don't have to do that anymore, do they?
What,
sync it?
We have one over there.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. All right. Welcome, parents, to another conversation starter. Pastor Mario here.
Yeah, Dawson, the youth leader.
Yeah, Walker behind the camera. All right. So we finished the book of James yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
We did 2 chapters. We did 2 chapters in one night, which was pretty cool. But they're short chapters, so
Yeah,
it kind of makes it a little bit easier. Whereas in Genesis, it was
you're cramming.
it's a lot to get
Yeah.
in. So we finished 2 chapters, and the thing that was interesting is in the last 2 chapters of James, he switches to more of a pastoral approach in his communication with the people.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the ways that he is pastoring them is he's correcting them, mainly their practice, like what they're doing in the life of the church and in their Christian life.
Mm-hmm.
And so he speaks to 4 groups of people. He speaks to the lukewarm person, and this is the person who wants to follow Jesus, desires to be in church, but also has no desire to break free from the pool of the world, the perspectives of the world, any of that kind of stuff. They want to have both.
Right.
Walk in the world and walk in Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
The second person is the arrogant person, which sounds really intense, but when you're reading it, it doesn't sound like necessarily a bad arrogance. It's just people living their life and planning to do things.
It's a very subtle
It's very
arrogance.
subtle. Yeah, very subtle arrogance. But the person that he's speaking to is the person who's kind of living their life as if, God isn't going to return, Jesus isn't going to, return. They're living their life as if they have all the time in the world, basically. Yeah. And the third person that he speaks to is the rich person, very specific, and he kind of holds no punches.
Yeah.
He's basically rebuking the rich person.
Yeah.
Because the rich people that are in this context are abusive, and they hold all of their significance and all of their value in the fact that they are rich. And so he is speaking to this person. And the last group of people he's speaking to is the weary, which it isn't necessarily a rebuke kind of correction for them. It's more of a correction of like correcting their perspective on suffering and things like that.
Yeah.
So we tackled all 4 of those groups, and then we read both chapters.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
And you'll remember each group kind of almost gets their own chapter in the book. Like, what are you looking for?
Where'd my coffee go?
It's all the way over there. I don't think you brought it.
Yeah.
But like the weary, they're kind of chapter 1, where he opens with, being joyful in trials. And then it kind of goes from there. Like he tackles worldliness with the tongue as well, because you can't have salt water and fresh water. You can't have the world and God.
That's a good.
Yeah.
It's a good little nugget there.
And the rich were part of the reason that favoritism was an issue, which is from chapter 2, where the rich were getting, the nice seat, whatever that meant at that point in time, because they weren't in a big church building. They were like in someone's house. And the rich got the nice seat and the poor had to sit on the ground. And the rich were obviously taking part in that because they were taking the nice seat. They were like, and promoting it. They were giving other people the nice seat too.
Yep.
So it's all kind of a James going back to what he's already said and doing it in more specifics. It's not like general, you guys shouldn't do this, favoritism type stuff. It's more specific, like you are doing this, stop doing this.
This is what you're doing, please stop.
Yeah, again, not with the weary. The weary, he's like, okay, so you're okay, like I want to encourage you, like seek actual joy, seek actual, like he is wrapping up this congregation that he's speaking to,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't one specific. We did
Like
we did it in
church,
the context.
yeah.
We did it in the context one where he's talking to the Jewish church that is now scattered. So he's talking to a lot of people, not just one church body.
Yeah, yeah. He's talking to, and you did a whole teaching on it, but he's talking to the dispersion, the diaspora.
Right.
People who were scattered. And you can actually read about the scattering in Acts chapter 7.
Yeah.
That is when the church, church goes into those areas.
Yeah. And so he's talking to multiple countries.
Yeah.
Like he's not, there is no single location that's like at target here,
Yeah, because how the letters worked is, he would write a letter to a church and they would pass the letter around. So one church would read it. Okay, James wrote, they would mail it to another church. They would read it. That church would send it to another, and it would be passed around. And so that's how, like you're right, like it's not to just a specific, like congregation of people.
Right.
It's inter, national, not national.
It's
what is that word? Inner city.
Yeah, he's talking to like
Multi-city.
he's talking to an entire culture, more or less. Like the growing culture of Jewish Christianity.
Yep.
He's talking to them as a whole. So
Yeah. So we just ironed through that, which I thought there was good engagement from the students. Because I really honestly think all of these things are super relatable.
Yeah.
I mean, lukewarm, it's very easy to be to start to live a lukewarm life. It's very easy to start to like, okay, everything is routine. Church has become just something that I do on a Sunday. Like my relationship with Jesus is only defined as going to church. And I have no desire to break away from a lot of the pools of the world and the activities and the things that the world offers. Like it's just super easy to walk and try to just do both. It's super easy to live your life arrogant.
Thinking. Again, it's a subtle arrogance.
Subtle arrogance. Yeah, I'm not like, James isn't like, you arrogant, stupid people.
Well, and they're not walking around openly like blaspheming or anything. They're walking around saying, I'm going to do this and have success in it. When in reality, they're saying that from their own will, in their own power. They're not yielding it to God. And that's James's correction for them is like, you should say, if the Lord wills, I'll do this. And we laugh because we hear old Christians say, Lord willing and stuff. But
it's good.
And that's where it comes from is the perspective of, I'm not, in my own power, I am not doing this. This is God if he wants it to be this way.
That's how,
And so it's the subtle, which makes it very convicting because then it's very easy to realize that you've been subtly boasting in the face of God for a long time, and
I mean, it's not, and we talked about like how it's not fun to be corrected. So you will notice this, and we notice this as we walk with the Lord. Like the Lord is constantly correcting his people. For their betterment. Like it's good that we are corrected. But it doesn't always feel good.
Right.
Because maybe we've convinced ourselves that this is the way that I'm going and I don't care.
I'm staying on this path.
And the Lord is like, no. That's not going to fly and it doesn't work that way.
Right.
And if you want to have this fruit, if you want to have this outcome, you have to do it my way.
Right.
And sometimes that sucks to hear.
Yeah, definitely.
So, since we finished the book, and since these chapters are really, really practical, I think the questions that we want you to have, parents, with the students is more of like taking an assessment approach. So usually we will give you other scripture to like tie it in and like link it together and like, okay, how does, what is this saying? Go deeper. But for this one, I think we just want to do it like, all right, let's take time to assess your heart. because that's basically what the scripture is calling us to do. You know, so firstly, as you assess your heart, think of the 4 groups. So all right, so the lukewarm person, the arrogant person, the rich person, and when I say rich, you can think of that group as like the person who's trying to find significance in earthly success, riches,
kind
money.
of the like prideful.
Yeah, like the prideful, like, and it doesn't have to be money. It doesn't have to be just trying to find your value and your success in earthly
places
and success and riches. And then the final one, the weary. Like out of those 4 groups, which one do you, and this, you can have this conversation with your student, like which one do you see yourself being tempted to fall into? Right? Are you more tempted to like live your life in routine and feel like, okay, I could just put things off till tomorrow because tomorrow will always be there? Are you more apt to like chase after success and money and try to find your value there? Are you more apt to just become totally weary with life and feel as if there's no point of it all? Right. You know, which one are you more tempted towards to work in?
Yeah, and just like which are you susceptible to? You know, like
exactly.
What are you?
That's a better way to put it.
Yeah, what are you going to fall into?
Which are you most susceptible
to
falling into?
Yeah. And then as a follow-up on from that thought, and answer that question too, not just your student. Like you can be honest and be like,
I would recommend that you do you answer that question.
Yeah, you can be honest and be like, yeah, I'm tired all the time, and I find myself not looking for comfort in it sometimes. You know, like and then backpacking off that, ask them and yourself, how, like, what solution does James give? Like, go back to the chapter or even the whole book, because they're not all actually in those 2 chapters. But, like, go back and look and say, all right, what solution does James give for this people group with this problem? You know, like, say you're the arrogant one. Go back to that section and say, okay, James gives, you know, he gives them a correction. How can I take that correction? You know, what is it? How can I move forward with it? And it'll just kind of empower you to, 1, see yourself slipping into those habits, and then 2, you'll have an actual concrete solution to that habit. You know, again, like you're arrogant about tomorrow, you find yourself doing that, you say, okay, I need to yield a little bit. You know, like we talked about yielding with the tongue, I need to yield with my time. You know, like I need to stop planning. I need to stop putting such emphasis on my plans, my choices, you know, like whatever it may be, you know.
Yeah, it's good. And again, it's really, really practical. And yes, parents, I would highly suggest that you answer the questions honestly with your student. Because this is stuff that we all need to assess. Like I need to assess, I had to assess preparing this. Like I shared how like the past few weeks I've really struggled with being patient in suffering, or understanding that there is a point to suffering, or to, you know, when you hear bad news or when you hear these kinds of things, it's very easy to drift into like meaninglessness. And you know, so how do you deal with that? Well, James gives an answer. And so the goal would be, all right, assess where you are tempted and susceptible, and then go back to the chapters that we talked about in James and find the solution. And parents, help your student do that. Maybe read chapter 4 and 5 all over again. It'll make it a lot easier to find those specific things, you know?
And maybe like write it down or something.
Write it down.
It could be a great opportunity to memorize a verse with them, memorize their solution verse, you know, whatever it may look like.
Write down the solution to the one you are susceptible to and put it on your bathroom mirror, your dresser mirror, whatever the case. That way it's always there and you see it. So, I don't know if you have any other final thoughts about the book of James. It feels cool that we finished it
Yeah.
before Christmas.
So much quicker than Genesis.
5 weeks, baby.
Yeah. No, I don't think I have any concluding
follow-up?
thoughts. Great book. If you want to reread the whole book this week, have at it. It's really not a long read at all.
It's not. It really is not. I mean, it will probably take you about maybe 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Not long at all. So we hope, parents, that this would lead to some really great conversation. And we are looking forward to the Christmas party next Sunday.
Oh yeah, tell everyone, bring friends.
Tell everyone, bring a friend. This is just such a great opportunity, students, for you to connect your friends who maybe don't know Jesus to a fellowship of believers without it being so intimidating as like this big youth group service. You know, say, hey, there's a Christmas party. Let's go eat and earn a trophy and play games and stuff. You know? So that's this Sunday, 5 to 7:30 p.m. Students come with a wrapped gift, no more than $5. Please don't spend more than $5.
Yeah.
And come in your ugliest sweater.
Oh yeah, that's one of the contests.
Yes, it's one of the. I mean, you don't have to come in a sweater, but if you want the trophy, if you want to be in the contest, you have to come in.
But if you don't come in one, I will win. So
just beat Dawson. Don't let him get it.
if you guys want me to win, back to back.
Don't come in anything.
Yeah.
So, all right. Thank you, parents, for watching, and we hope you have a good one.
Yeah. I'm gonna start clapping off too.
Hello, parents. This is Pastor Mario. Thank you guys for joining us for this week's Conversation Starter. If you want more ways that you can engage with your youth, you could check out the other Conversation Starters here on my side. Thank you guys for joining us. Hope you guys are doing well.